So, as we have discussed what are vectors and types of vectors, everything we have discussed. One thing we missed, that is unit vector. So before going to discuss unit vector, I would like to ask you some questions. That is, how do we represent a vector? So this is how we represent a vector. This is what is vector A. This is vector A. That is what is the vector A. And what about the magnitude of vector A? We represent the magnitude of vector A, this one. Okay, like this. This is magnitude of vector A. And I know that it is very silly things I am teaching you. Okay. And one thing you just keep in your mind, that is those who do not know these things, okay, the vectors and all. I know that in from 10th standard to 11th you just jumped a hurdle like this and you got to know a lot of things. So that is why I am teaching you again and again these kind of things. Even I always teach like from the silly step, from the basic things itself. It seems silly, but it is basic. So you always remember, like parallelly when I teach you, you have to read yourself as well. Otherwise, it's absolutely useless when we teach and when you listen to the class like that. Okay, parallelly you read it and you try to understand it. Like you can repeat the video. You can repeat the video, then to, try to understand as maximum as possible. Okay, so then magnitude of A, vector A, we represent, this is what is modulus A. Modulus A. And now we have to see like what is modulus, vector, unit vector A. This is what is known as unit vector of A. What is the meaning of unit vector? Unit vector means this is the vector which is the directional vector. Directional vector, which is directional vector which is in the direction of A. So vector A is there. So for example, vector A is just like this. And what is unit vector A? Which gives exactly the same direction. But the the magnitude of unit vector is equal to 1. I think now you got it. It gives only the direction. The magnitude of this vector, unit vector A, is equal to 1. And it has the same direction of A. And now, for example, think about it. And this is what is a vector which I represent. Okay. And in the types of vectors, you must have seen the examples. You have to. Okay. So this is what is an arrow. So this is, you can say arrow, and I would say this is a vector. So let's say this is vector A. Think about it. What is the magnitude of vector A? From this, I can say that the magnitude of vector A is actually the length of A, vector A. The length of that vector A. Okay, second one. What about the magnitude? What about the unit vector A? Unit vector A is this vector A divided by its magnitude. That's equal to vector A here divided by its magnitude. Now you got it. So unit vector actually, it's only the direction. You can think like this also. This is not apparently correct, but you think like this. What is a vector? Vector means it has both magnitude and direction. Okay, it obeys the laws of vector law of addition, but right now you don't mind it. So it has both magnitude and direction. Magnitude, direction. So divided by magnitude. What is that? That is direction. Look at this. Magnitude, and direction. So magnitude is gone. Then magnitude is divided by magnitude. Then both of them will cancel each other. Then what is direction? So this is what is a directional vector. Okay. And also I can write the vector A, I can represent it as modulus of vector A into A cap. So we call it as A cap. A cap. And how much is the magnitude of A cap? 1. It's a unit. That is why we call it as unit vector. And you must have seen orthogonal vectors. What is the meaning of orthogonal vectors? It starts from one point, right? It starts from one point. What are unit vector in the orthogonal unit vectors? So there are orthogonal unit vectors. What is the meaning of orthogonal unit vectors? Which means along the x, y and z direction, they are actually like this. Okay, x, y, z. They are actually orthogonal because starting from same point. Okay, so what are orthogonal unit vectors? So which are actually in the perpendicular direction and x, y, z. So let's say this is x, this is y and is z. Sorry, this is z. Mutually perpendicular, orthogonal. So then the unit vector along x-axis, vector along x-axis, we call it as I cap. The unit vector along y cap, we call it as j cap. The unit vector along z axis, that is in the direction of z axis, that is k cap. I, j, k. Always remember I, j, k. I, j, k. Always remember I, j, k. I for x axis, j for y axis, k for z axis. I think you got it. So it's pretty simple actually. So you always remember what are unit vector. I mean, what is a unit vector? How do we find out unit vector? A vector divided by its magnitude. We will solve the problems by using this. Don't worry. So then we can write from this equation vector A is equal to modulus of vector A into unit vector A, and then what are orthogonal unit vectors? Orthogonal unit vectors means that is which is along x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. They are mutually perpendicular direction. X, y, z. So they are in mutually perpendicular direction. They are starting from a single point. Then we can say that there are unit vectors which represents. I mean, we always use I cap is the direction of x-axis, or j cap is the direction of vector along y-axis, is a k cap is the direction of vector along z cap. Okay, so the combination will be the plane. That we will discuss later. Okay, I think you got an idea about vector and its properties. We didn't discuss how do we add vectors and what are the vector law of addition and all. So that we will discuss later. So let's see in the next class. Okay, thank you.